G'day guys, what's going on? JK47 here, and today I'm here to review the Thrustmaster TX racing wheel. Now this is the base I'm reviewing. I will also do reviews on the 599 Evo rim, the TH8A shifter, and the T3PA Pro pedals in this video. So I've had the TX since January 2015. I got it once I got my Christmas money in 2014, and I was really excited about it. And there are definitely pros to this racing wheel, but there are some cons to this line, and I'll tell them to you during this video from someone who's owned the wheel for 2 years now. Not this wheel, get into that, but I've owned in some form this product for 2 years. So I'll be giving you a full 2 years experience, so you can judge whether you want to buy a Thrustmaster TX. I hope you're enjoying the video, and let's get straight in to reviewing the wheel. Now let's get into what I think is one of the best features of the Thrustmaster TX compared to the Logitech G920. And as you can see, it is the degrees of rotation. So it has 900 degrees of rotation as standard, but this can be changed, unlike the G920. So you've got options of 900 degrees, 540 degrees, 360 degrees, and 270 degrees. The way you change that is through the button, the mode button on the steering wheel. So you click that and click left on the D-pad and it changes. So in this case it's gone from 900 to 540. You click again and it goes from 540 to 360, which is 2 green flashes. And then you click it again for 1 green flash, that goes to the 270 degrees rotation. Now this will change per game, per car you're driving, and that's why I think it's really good from Thrustmaster to give us this option. Because if you're driving a Formula 1 car, you want 360 degrees of rotation. Whereas you're driving a Mitsubishi Lancer or a Porsche Cayman, you want the full 900 degrees of rotation that you get in a road car. So without further ado, let's get into the force feedback of the Thrustmaster TX. And I really do enjoy it. Now, I've had some issues with the wheel in the past 2 years of me owning it. That's made me think, oh, should I go to Fanatec, should I go to Logitech? But every time those issues have been resolved and I can go driving the wheel, I think, no, I want to stick with the TX. It is really good fun. Almost no matter what car you drive. Some cars are just really enjoyable, no matter what wheel you choose. But I find a lot of cars really enjoyable with the TX. The force feedback is as you'd expect, so you can feel the car, what the car is doing. You can feel the understeer. If the car starts to slide, it gets a bit light. If the car comes out on you on the rear, it kicks for you. So it's really good feeling as if the car would feel. As you could tell, I had a little bit of understeer and it just pushed a bit, which is as I would expect the wheel, the force feedback to respond, and how I'd expect a real car to respond in this situation. Now, just to give you a bit of background on myself, I've done quite a bit of karting. So I'm not 100% qualified because I haven't driven a race car, but I've got some idea of how a vehicle at speed, at its limit, should go. And I feel very comfortable jumping between the Thrustmaster TX and when I used to kart my kart. Now let's also get onto the rim. So the rim I'm using here is the Ferrari 599 XX Evo rim, Alcantara edition. Extremely long name, I think I've got 30 in there. But it's a 30 centimeter diameter wheel, which is wrapped in Alcantara. Now, I don't know if you guys have ever felt Alcantara, but it's never as good as you get of this. In Australia, we've got Repco to the cheap auto, where you can buy steering wheels for your cars that's wrapped in Alcantara suede. It is nowhere near as good as the Alcantara on this wheel. And as you can see, that is why I'm using gloves with this wheel, because I don't want to damage it at all. I mean, I've had to wash it once or twice because it gets a bit worn, but that's expected when you've got Alcantara. So it's a really nice feeling wheel. You get so comfortable doing races with it. I did a race with Global Sim Racing, the 12 hours of Le Mans, when I did 8 hours of the race, and I used that rim, and it was fine in my hands the whole time. I was a bit stuffed. The rim felt so good throughout the whole race. So that's a really good pro to this steering wheel. Now, the wheel comes with, the TX comes with the 458 wheel, which I will show you now. This is the Ferrari 458 wheel that comes with the Thrustmaster TX 458 Italia edition. Now, this rim isn't as good as the 599 Evo rim. It isn't as good as the Logitech G920 rim. It isn't as good as almost every rim I've tried in the sim racing world that is force feedback. So, yeah, it's not very good because it's plastic and with rubber grips. The rubber grips, they're uncomfortable. They're fine if you're playing for 30-45 minutes, but if you've got to do 2 hours plus in an endurance race, they're not very comfortable. And in my very first Thrustmaster TX, the engine start button fell out, and I've seen that happen to a few other people, which, you know, is a lack of quality. That it's a $500 product. We expect some good quality, which is why I didn't hesitate to upgrade to the 599 Evo rim, because it was so much better. Now, I do have a problem with the Thrustmaster TX, and it's got nothing to do with its performance and how it feels, because it feels brilliant. It is to do with reliability. Now, I've had this steering, as I said, for 2 years, 24 months, and it's broken on me 3 times. And I've had to get it replaced 3 times, which isn't good enough. I'm just going to say it is not good enough from Thrustmaster, because it's an expensive wheel, $500 in Australia, and it was more when it came out, and we deserved better, you know. And it's a real shame, as I said on Twitter, that it's the Alfa Romeo of sim racing wheels, which is a sad truth, because it's really good fun and yet it breaks on you. Now, comparing the TX to the G920, which I've driven up at Bathurst, it is a lot better performance. The standard rim, the TX that you see on screen, is a lot worse, but overall it's better in force feedback, because you don't have the gears grinding, which in the G920, which you don't have in the TX. So let's get on to something I find rather important in racing, and that is the pedals that you use to brake, accelerate. A good thing about the T3PA Pro pedals is that it comes with this. Now, this is a chronicle brake mod. I'll bring it a bit closer to the camera. This allows for a more resistant brake pedal, and also for you to remember the brakes, where to brake through pressure instead of position. As personally, I've felt that it is easier to remember where to brake by pressure, how much pressure you put on the brake pedal, than the position of your brake pedal. If you look at the standard TX pedals, which, if I excuse me, I'll just stand up for a second. You might have gone to my bold spot. Look at these, which is the standard TX pedals. It does not come with the chronicle brake mod, which would go in here, and it's not very resistant. I can push it down with my hand. Now, this means you have to feel braking through position of the pedal, which is something I struggled with before I got my T3PAs, and it does affect lap time, I feel, just trying to find that position of where to brake. Whereas if you have the chronicle brake mod system, which is, as I showed you, this one, you can remember by pressure, so you can, which is easy to remember. I don't know how to explain it, but it is easy to remember. Unfortunately, I couldn't get a good camera angle of me and my shifter, because I'm not that talented with camera position, and it didn't really suit my area. So I'm just going to quickly tell you about the shifter. So the shifter is the TH8A, as I said earlier, and it can be sequential, a plus minus sequential, or it can be a 7+1 manual gearbox. So this is really good. It gives you lots of good flexibility. Unlike the driving force shifter for the G920, it can change between sequential and H pattern, and I really like that, because I love driving V8 supercars. I'm Australian, and just banging through the gears with the sequential is so much fun in one of those cars. But if I'm driving, I don't know, an old Sandman or something, I want to have a proper manual gearbox. Or if I'm driving a classic F1 car, you want a proper manual gearbox, and this gives you the option of doing so, and I really enjoy it, and I think it's good. The sequential shifter doesn't have enough resistance, in my opinion. It's a bit too easy to clip through the gears, but that's a minor con. and but the manual, proper manual shifter is good because you can adjust the tension and resistance to what you want and what you feel is realistic, as I got right in the video there. Which is good because you can, if you're driving, I don't know, a Land Rover Defender, it's going to be really hard to get into the gear, and you can simulate that. If you're driving, I don't know, my Hyundai Coupe, for example, where it's really easy to click through the gears, you can do that. So I think the shifter gives us really good options and setup options, especially as a manual. Not so much as a sequential, but you can go and use sequential, which I do enjoy. Okay, so here I am on the Thrustmaster website, and this is so I can show you all the different options there are for the Thrustmaster TX racing wheel. This is a really good thing about Thrustmaster. You can interchange everything. So there's the base itself, the TX Racing Wheel Servo base. You can get a TX Wheel Leather Edition, and you can get the TX Racing Wheel 458 Italia Edition. Now, when I bought my wheel, the TX Racing Wheel Ferrari 458 Italia Edition was the only one that's out, so that's the one I got. But if I'd buy a new one now, I would get the TX Racing Wheel Leather Edition because it already comes with the T3PA pedals and that really nice leather edition steering wheel, which is 28 centimeters diameter. Now, if I go back to all, Xbox One, there we go. I hit the wrong button earlier. Okay, so these are some options. You've got the one I've got, which is the 599XX Evo 30 rim. If I go across the page, you'll have the TM Leather 28, which is part of the Leather Edition pack. The T3PA add-on, which is what I've got. The TH8A shifter, the TX 458 Italia, obviously. The Ferrari GTE wheel add-on, and the Ferrari F1 wheel add-on. So these are all the options that you've got to customize your Thrustmaster with. Now, in Australia, the servo base is about as expensive as the TX 458, so I don't see the worth in the servo, especially it's not that much more expensive to get the leather edition. So let's get on to the pros and cons of this wheel, just very, very shortly. Pros, the force feedback is brilliant. I really do enjoy it. It's enjoyable, as I said. And, you know, it ticks all the boxes for having a good racing experience. The con to this base, I've found, is the reliability. The reliability is absolutely shocking on these wheels. I've gone through 3 in 2 years, which is, you know, it's ridiculous. But, you know, it's a shame, but when you're having fun, you know, it sort of makes up for it. But if you're one of these people who doesn't like to replace things, you want things to last forever, I would steer clear because it can break down. It's really annoyed me. It's really annoying me, the wheel breaking down and all that. So, yeah, that's the con. I can't really think of any other cons compared to the G920, which obviously will last forever. It's a Logitech. The pedals and the shifter, I've never had an issue with the pedals or the shifter. I got them 3 months after I got the wheel, and I haven't had an issue with them. They've been brilliant throughout, you know, always working, always reliable. Sometimes I lose little screws, but that's my fault being silly to screw in to change around the shifters. So yeah, that is my review of the Thrustmaster TX racing wheel. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time. XX Evo rim, the TH8A shifter, and the T3PA not pros. I'll start that again. G'day guys, what's going on? JK47 here, and today I'll be here I'm in. They've really thought about the economy. I'll sit in the back like a passenger.
Oh, mate, we've got it. Are you working tomorrow?
Yeah.
Why? So we've got to go to the bank together, otherwise we need till this
Cut.